Hey gang, I just want to make a video. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's going to be quick, but I'm going to ramble through some stuff that has kind of been bothering me a little bit since I made this group and since I've just been involved with this Orion from the beginning. Some things that some of the keyboard warriors like to say. But the very first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is integrity. If I make a recommendation or have given you information while honestly being not an expert, I'll never say to you guys that I'm an expert. I'm just an enthusiast. I will tell you this, I don't say these things lightly, and I 99.9% of the time have tried whatever recommendation that I'm making or telling you about, upgrade wise or any kind of improvement wise, or even general maintenance or anything about the bike itself. You know, I'm not trying to get any gain. I'm not paid by Orion. I'm not paid by Henner Motorsports, which is another thing that I'll touch on later. But I'm in my garage now today. Behind me, you see I'm rebuilt again. I've been working on it over the past week. Most recent improvement that I made was some more porting from Joe. Also, he went through my carburetor and rifle bored it. And also, the big reason why it was apart this time was for a 13-to-1 compression piston and some more frame bracing. I'm a heavier guy, and riding in motocross, this frame, for me, we've talked about this in the group before. You know, I was doing a lot of testing, a lot of heavy workload in the beginning prior to having any kind of suspension work done. So, you know, I've had some frame flex and some problems. So we went through and did some more gusseting, some more welding, and some more actual metal triangulation. Say that 3 times fast. To beef up the frame some more for this coming season. Riding season's coming into play right now. So, but having said that, again, I'm going to reiterate, if I tell you something, it's because we've tested it. I've tested it. I'm the testing arm of a lot of things. No one's paying me, no one's telling me to do it, but as improving this bike, because I believe in it, you know, I have purchased a lot of parts and have durability tested them. So I'm just going to grab a couple things that I have next to me, just so you can kind of get a feel of all the things that I've done, and so that you can believe me when I tell you, you know, this is for the better, this is for the better, or this is for worse. I've got an example of for the worse in here too. So I'm going to just turn the camera down towards some of this stuff. But as you can see over here, sprockets, fork springs, fork spacers. Over here is a cylinder and a piston with a different gasket. Further over here, let me see if I can get it. The original air filter holder with the screen. I've replaced this without the screen. Big improvement of flow of air. Right here in this box. I've had multiple cams. This one I believe to be the BBR. But yeah, there's a cam. DCR, sorry, DCR. This is a DCR cam. So as you can see, you know, multiple sprocket sizes. I've tried, you know, that was the original. I believe this one is a 48. So yeah, lots of work has been done here. One of the failures was the 32 millimeter Mikuni knockoff carburetor, which was a flat slide. Well, actually a D slide, but this engine just can't pull the flow. It's not strong enough to pull that much air, so it bogs on the bottom with that. And while I was able to jet it to where it would run okay, I was less than the jetting that's in the 28 millimeter. So, that gives you an example of some of the stuff. Definitely multiple pistons, multiple cylinders, multiple thicknesses of head gaskets, multiple cams. So I've put quite a bit of effort into this thing so far. And while I don't have a running total right now anymore, I had made a video in the past about how much money I had spent to get to where I am. The reality of the scenario is maybe if you find a 2-stroke at a cherry picking price, because around here you can't find anything. I live in North Carolina. Sorry if you guys don't know that. I live in central North Carolina. Around here you can't find a 2-stroke at a low price. But if you could find one, that may be the only option where I would say is better than buying this bike and making some modifications to make it, calling it a motocrosser, it'll never be that. I do it. Joe does it. When I speak of Joe, that's Joe Henner Racing, Joe Henner Motorsports. We both do motocross. He's a very fast, I'm going to call him a pro. I'm not sure if he is or not, but he's very fast rider and much more experienced than me. At my best, I was an intermediate, and that's been 20 years ago, So right now, I feel like I've lost everything. If you see some of my corners, it's the most tragic situation. But I'm going to share some other stuff with you too. Guys, I grew up in Florida, and I have tons of connections in the industry. And I'm not going to name drop, but trust me when I tell you, there have been so many phone calls by me to industry people to try to get things for this bike. And just to give you a couple examples, but not name dropping people, but I have contacts. JGR contacted them about maybe making some pistons or anything that they would be willing to do. They had no interest in this Orion at all, which I don't blame them. They're different. They're smaller. I contacted FMF very early on about making a pipe and silencer combo because it was kind of similar to a Honda CRF 230s, which they already made, but they had discontinued those and they weren't interested in making anything new. Pro Circuit, I contacted them multiple times. Porting, I wanted to see what they might just be interested in touching this, and they had nothing that they wanted to get involved with. So to answer some of the this grievance that I have out here in this PC world that we live in this keyboard warrior world that we live in, and it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. Not that I'm sensitive, I've got tough skin, but I just don't see the point why some people go these negative routes towards some of the stuff that I say. But, I've put a lot of effort into it behind the scenes that you guys don't even know about. And, people don't, in the industry wise, we're not big enough yet. And getting out here and showing that these bikes are good is a good thing. My friend Charles with MX Revival and also Lund MX are now touching on some of these China bikes and saying good things, and maybe that'll help in the industry. Gary at GPX is a big proponent of his stuff. The GPX stuff is awesome. So yeah, but getting back to it, keyboard warriors. A lot of people use a term swinging from the dick or sucking balls or something. Talking to me about my relationship with Joe Henner and Joe Henner Motorsports. I'm sure Joe knows this. We've discussed it privately. It's not a slight on him. Please, Joe, if you see this, this is not me trying to say I wouldn't buy your stuff. What I'm trying to say is Joe Henner Motorsports was the only one who invested thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours into R&D and development of products for these RXBs. That's why they call him, quote unquote, the RXB guy. And yeah, he's an expert. You know, some people say, you know, I've called him the guru or the god. Well, if somebody else was stepping up and doing a better job than Joe, I'd be mentioning him or her, whatever. You know, in this world, him or her. But Joe is the man, and he is the one who's fixed up tons of these bikes already. And frankly, with the exception of one person I know who I feel is trying to hurt Joe's business. I don't know why. I don't know the beef. He has a personal beef with me, but that's just me and him. And I'll leave it there at that. You guys can go find out who it is and what's been going on. It's all out there in the public. But Joe does everything for these bikes, and he has done everything for these bikes. And if someone else was doing it, you know, we'd be talking about him or her, but no one else is. So when I recommend stuff and it sounds like, well, gosh, you're only hawking Joe Henner Motorsports. Well, unfortunately, yeah, they do the best stuff. Everything that I have told you, you know, I would say is, you know, everything's questionable in the world, but in my opinion, everything he's done has improved this bike 100-fold. You know, some people are going to say, well, you know, what good is buying a bike if you have to do all of this? I'm going to answer that as you don't have to. Do what level makes you comfortable, what you can afford. This bike starts at around $2,000 or $2,100. And, you know, let's just say I got another 15 in it. That's $3,500. You won't find anything close to that. Then the next level would be GPX bikes or SSR bikes, and they're 5,000 plus. And those are great values too. Don't get me wrong. I've made another video about that too. The SSR and the GPX are half the price of a Japanese bike or an Austrian bike. These guys are starting to basically price themselves out of the market. They're ridiculously priced. So then when you also throw in ease of maintenance, you know, this is not a water-cooled bike. This is an air-cooled four-stroke, 2-valve, overhead cam, single engine. Single carburetor, a regular carburetor, not fuel injected, basic electronics. It's a great value. It really is. I'm still going to hear over a year later after owning it and multiple times of rebuilding it and doing things to it, not because it needed to be rebuilt, improvement-wise, taking it apart, putting it back together multiple times. Many hours of engine time. I think prior to this rebuild, I think I was at 70 hours of total time engine running. I did reset it because I want to know what this is about the final. This is the top of engine improvements that I can get. I've got every improvement that's made right now for my bike. So that's why I reset it. I wanted to know what it would be like. And it's been bulletproof. I haven't had any failures. We can talk about the rims, but that's a totally different subject. And I ride different than 99.9% of the populace. So we'll get there. But getting back to some of the stuff some of this has been bothering me. I wanted to get off my chest. Negativity in if you bought this bike and then you're coming in and posting negatively that I should have got something else, hey, it's America and you have freedom of speech, but I don't see the purpose that it serves. And at the very least, at least be honest about why you bought it. You bought a $2,000 bike. To kind of expect that it won't cost you anything to improve it is a little naive. Also, I just want to touch, going back to the Daytona thing. Sorry, going back to the Florida thing, specifically about Daytona. Have friends that are down there now. $12,000 bikes, brand spanking new bikes, okay? I have a friend who busted a wheel, a KTM 125, grenaded a front rim, spokes, hub, whole 9 yards. So to think that these things, that doesn't happen, you'd be wrong. I have another guy, KX, broke frame. Overjumped, came down hard, cracked the frame. Same here. That shit happens. Nothing is without flaws. And, I would tell you guys all honestly that I believe I've been very honest about the warts. And I think others have commented on it too, that, if there is a problem, we try to address it and try to come up with options to fix it, or aftermarket improvements that you can buy to get better. Get it better. But in general, I think these things are amazing values for $2,000. My opinion of them is this is what Honda should have made the next generation of XR250s. I believe that's what this is. Behind me, sorry. 4-stroke, single, overhead cam. Now they ran 4-valve heads at some point, but in general, that's what this is. It's got better suspension than XR's. A little bit shorter, but you got to deal with what you got to deal with. It has a little bit of, I've kind of noticed it's got a little bit of a lower ground clearance, but overall, like compared to some buddies at NCNP where I go sometimes, North Carolina Motorsports Park, and at Dreamville, I have put my bike up against some other KTMs, which this is kind of a KTM frame, somewhat. And it's maybe an inch lower, maybe overall an inch lower, and maybe an inch of ground clearance also is where I started to, since I was dragging pegs so much, I started to realize, well, what's the ground clearance? So maybe the ground clearance is just a little bit less too, but yeah, still $2,000, man, $2,100, whatever they're going for right now. Awesome deal. Can't beat it. Even if you invest $1,000 in upgrades, let's not pretend that people who buy $10,000 don't go out and buy a $800 Yossi pipe, change out their tires and rims, and get the tuning for their electronic control unit. A couple $100 there. Change out your handlebars and your grips and your levers, and some of them run high performance water pumps, Henson clutches. I mean, let's not pretend that if you were to go buy a $10,000 Honda CRF 450 tomorrow, I don't even know if they're 10,000 anymore. They probably exceed that now. That you wouldn't even still be considering, upgrades. So that's just some of the stuff I was just hoping to talk to you guys about today. Also, when I give you some information, sometimes things are in flux. So, prime example is I once said that the new engine was going to come with a new 250 engine for the RXB 250s that are currently out right now. I said that they would have counterbalancers because I was told that that was the engine that they were going to get. They didn't get that this last time. Rumor mill, and we can talk about rumors, and nothing is in stone. You know, people are going to question me, but I'll put it out there for you. There seems to be the availability of getting a 265cc cylinder for the 250. So a bigger cylinder. I had once said that you couldn't do it because of the spacing of the head bolts. But without giving it away, it's a special cylinder that doesn't have to move the head bolts. So I can tell you why, but I don't think I should share that information with people. But and then also, you know, a piston to go along with that to increase the horsepower and the compression. But it's not available yet. It hasn't been durability tested, and the availability of getting the parts is also not nailed down yet. Let's use that word. It's not, you know, it exists, but it's not nailed down as far as being available to you. So, you know, we're not out there hawking it per se. Right now, it's currently a one-off engine that is being durability tested. But, you know, there's a rumor. Same with the cam. Not in hand and not durability tested, but in existence per se.